I never thought I'd be telling this story, but here I am. My name's Charlotte, and I was born into what you'd call an ordinary family. But when I was 2, everything changed. My dad died, leaving my mom a widow with a toddler. Mom didn't stay single for long. She married this guy, a big-shot entrepreneur with his own construction company. From the get-go, it was clear Mom was head over heels for Steve. She'd do anything for the guy, I swear. It was like I didn't even exist anymore. Things got even worse when Mom popped out another kid. A girl named Rachel. Suddenly, I had a half-sister who could do no wrong in Mom's eyes. She doted on that kid like she was made of gold, always trying to show Steve what a great mom she was to his precious daughter. Steve, he was this big, scary-looking dude. Always had this stern look on his face, like he was perpetually pissed off. But man, you should have seen how he melted around his own kid. All smiles and affection. Me? I might as well have been invisible. Charlotte, he'd bark, you're the oldest. Act like it. Help out around here. And help out I did. From the time I could reach the kitchen counter, I was cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, you name it. Rachel? She never lifted a finger. Didn't even clean up after herself or wash a single dish. Meanwhile, my grades were slipping. How could they not? Between all the chores and taking care of the house, I barely had time to crack open a book. Mom noticed, of course. But instead of understanding, all I got was grief. What's wrong with you, Charlotte? She'd yell. Are you stupid or just lazy? Your sister manages to get good grades. Why can't you? I wanted to scream, to tell her why. But I knew it wouldn't make a difference. In this house, I was the maid, the cook, the cleaner. And apparently, I was supposed to be a straight-A student too. As the years went by, things only got worse. Steve's business grew, and suddenly all of Mom's relatives were working for him. Even Mom got a job at the company. And guess who got stuck with all the housework? Yep, yours truly. By the time I graduated high school, I was exhausted. My grades were mediocre at best, nowhere near good enough for a scholarship. And boy, did I hear about it. You're so stupid, Mom screamed, her face red with anger. How could you mess this up? Steve, ever the pragmatist, just shook his head. I'm not paying for your college if you can't even be bothered to try, he said coldly. And just like that, my dreams of going to college went up in smoke. Instead, I found myself working at Steve's company, doing the kind of low-paid, back-breaking work that nobody else wanted. You know, I had dreams once. Big dreams of becoming a hairstylist. I'd spend hours watching tutorials online, practicing on old dolls I'd fish out of the trash. I saved every penny I could, scraping together loose change and the measly tips I'd get from the guys at the construction site. Finally, after months of saving, I bought myself a clipper. One night, I couldn't contain my excitement anymore. My sister was lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone, looking bored as usual. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice casual. Want to see something cool? She barely glanced up. What? I pulled out the clipper, my hands shaking a little. I got this. I'm gonna be a hairstylist someday. For a moment, she actually looked interested. Really? Let me see that. I handed it over, feeling a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she'd understand. She turned it over in her hands, then tossed it back to me with a smirk. Good luck with that. Mom and Dad will never let you. I should have known better than to trust her. A few days later, all hell broke loose. Steve stormed into the living room in a rage, his face purple with anger. Who did this? He bellowed. Who mutilated Fluffy? I came out of the kitchen, wiping my hands on a dishcloth. The sight that appeared before me was terrible. There, on the floor, was his prized dog. The poor thing looked like it had been attacked by a lawnmower, chunks of fur missing, cuts all over its body. That's when my sister piped up, her eyes wide with fake innocence. Oh, Dad, she said, her voice trembling. I think I know what happened. All eyes turned to her as she spun her tale. Charlotte's been talking about being a hairstylist. She even bought clippers. I think she might have practiced on Fluffy. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What? No, I'd never. But Steve wasn't listening. He stormed into my room, tearing it apart until he found the clippers. And there, stuck in the blades, were tufts of dog hair. I felt like I was going to be sick. I didn't do it, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I swear, I didn't touch Fluffy. My sister burst into tears, putting on a show worthy of an Oscar. Please don't be too hard on her, Dad. She probably didn't mean to hurt Fluffy. Steve's face was stone cold as he turned to me. Get out, he said, his voice eerily calm. Pack your things and get out of my house, now. Mom just stood there, not saying a word. Not even looking at me. As I packed my meager belongings, I could hear my sister's fake sobs from the living room. The little shit had set me up, and she'd done it perfectly. With nowhere else to go, I headed to my grandmother's place in the next town over. She was my dad's mom, the only one who'd ever shown me any real kindness. I told her everything, my words tumbling out between sobs. She listened, her face growing darker with each word. You can stay here as long as you need, she said, pulling me into a hug. We'll figure this out together. And just like that, I started my new life. Got a job at a local diner, worked my ass off. For the first time in my life, I felt like I could breathe. 3 years later, Grandma passed away. It hit me hard, she was the only real family I had left. But even in death, she was looking out for me. She left me her house and a little nest egg she'd been saving. With Grandma's savings and every penny I'd squirreled away from the diner, I opened my own beauty salon. It wasn't much at first, just me, a chair, and a mirror. But it was mine. All mine. The first few weeks were tough. I'd sit there, staring at the door, willing it to open. But slowly, word got around. One customer became 2, then 10, then I couldn't keep up. I had to hire my first employee. Then another. Before I knew it, I had a full staff and 3 chairs running nonstop. The salon was always full of chatter and laughter. For once in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Like I was good at something. Charlotte, you're a miracle worker, one of my regulars exclaimed after I fixed a botched dye job she'd tried at home. I grinned, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. Just doing my job, Mrs. Johnson. But it wasn't just my hairstyling skills that were changing. I was changing too. Gone was the meek, scared girl who'd let everyone walk all over her. In her place was a woman who knew her worth, who didn't take shit from anyone. One day, a customer was giving one of my new girls a hard time. I stepped in, my voice firm. Ma'am, if you can't treat my staff with respect, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The woman spluttered. But I'm the customer. The customer is always right. I crossed my arms, standing my ground. Not in my salon, they're not. There's the door. Life was good. Really good. But you know how they say curiosity killed the cat? Well, one night, after a long day at the salon, I made the mistake of checking social media. There she was, my sister. All smiles in front of some fancy college, caption boasting about her business and management program. And the comments? Full of praise from Mom, Steve, and all the relatives who'd turned their backs on me. So proud of our little genius. Following in her father's footsteps. Can't wait to see you take over the company. I scrolled further. Vacation pics from all over the world. A shiny new car, graduation gift from the best parents ever. My stomach churned. Just as I was about to close the app, a new post popped up. Mom and Steve, all decked out in Hawaiian shirts and leis. Celebrating our brilliant daughter taking over the company. Time for a well-deserved break. Part of me wanted to be angry. To scream and rage at the unfairness of it all. But as I looked around my salon, at the life I'd built for myself, I realized something. I didn't need their approval anymore. I didn't need their love or their support. I had made it on my own, against all odds. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. One lazy Sunday afternoon, my phone rang. It was my Aunt Sarah, the only member of my family I still kept in touch with. "Charlotte, you're not gonna believe this," she said, barely containing her laughter. "Your sister? Turns out she's not so perfect after all." Over the next few minutes, Aunt Sarah filled me in on the family gossip. Apparently, while Steve and Mom were sipping Mai Tais in Hawaii, my sister had been running the company, right into the ground. "Made some real boneheaded moves," Aunt Sarah said. "Steve came back early, mad as a hornet. Told her he'd wasted his money on her fancy education." We chatted a bit more before hanging up. I went about my day, pushing thoughts of my family to the back of my mind. But life wasn't done with its surprises. A few weeks later, there was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I approached cautiously. When I opened it, I nearly fell over in shock. There stood my sister, mascara running down her face, a suitcase at her feet. "Charlotte," she sobbed, throwing herself at me. "Dad kicked me out. He disowned me, took away my apartment. I'm homeless." For a moment, I felt a pang of pity. Then I remembered all the years of torment, all the manipulation. I gently but firmly pushed her away. "What do you want, Rachel?" I asked, my voice flat. She looked up at me, eyes wide and pleading. "Can I stay with you? Please? I need help, a job. I could be the director of your salon." I almost laughed out loud. "Director? You've got to be kidding me." "But I have a business degree," she wailed. "I'm qualified." I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "Look, I need a secretary. Someone to work the front desk, book appointments. That's all I can offer." Rachel's face changed in an instant. The tears dried up, replaced by a look of indignation. "A secretary? You're supposed to help me. Give me a real job, let me live with you." I'd had enough. Years of pent-up anger and resentment came bubbling to the surface. "No," I said, my voice cold and firm. "I don't owe you anything. There's a cheap hostel down the street. Good luck." Rachel stared at me, mouth agape. Clearly, she hadn't expected this. Without another word, I closed the door in her face. Through the window, I watched as she stomped down the driveway, her theatrical sobs replaced by a scowl of pure rage. She threw her suitcase into the back of a shiny car, the same one I'd seen in her social media posts. A few days after Rachel's dramatic exit, I got a call from an old friend who still had connections to my family. The conversation also turned to Rachel. "Charlotte, your sister wasn't kicked out at all," she said. "She's throwing a tantrum because your dad scolded her for messing up at work." I gripped the phone tighter. "You're kidding me." "Nope. She thought she'd teach him a lesson by running away. Figured she'd crash at your place, mooch some money, then go back home when she's made her point." After hanging up, I felt a mix of anger and relief. Anger at Rachel's audacity, but relief that I'd seen through her act. The old me would have fallen for it hook, line, and sinker. Just when I thought things had settled, my phone rang again. This time, it was Mom. "Charlotte," she said, her voice cold and disapproving. "How could you turn your sister away like that? You should give her a job as a manager, not some lowly secretary position." I nearly choked. "Manager? Are you serious?" "Of course I am," Mom snapped. "She has an expensive education. She's taken management courses. She's much smarter than you, Charlotte." That was it. The last straw. Years of pent-up resentment came pouring out. If she's so smart, I spat, then why did she screw up Dad's company so badly? There was a pause on the other end of the line. When Mom spoke again, her voice was icy. "Your sister just needs to learn. The director position at your salon would be perfect for her to practice. It's not like your little haircutting business would be a great loss if she makes a few mistakes. I saw red. My little haircutting business? Do you have any idea what I built here? No, of course you don't. You never cared about what I did. Charlotte. But I was on a roll. No, you listen to me for once. Do you know what it was like growing up in that house? Being treated like a servant? Being kicked out with nowhere to go? Do you even care? I ranted for what felt like hours, letting out every hurt, every slight, every moment of neglect I'd suffered. Mom stayed silent throughout. When I finally ran out of steam, I felt drained but somehow lighter. For a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd understood. Then she spoke. Are you quite finished? Now, as I was saying, it's your duty to help your sister. You will give her the director position. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like she hadn't heard a word I'd said. In that moment, I realized something: nothing was ever going to change. No, I said, my voice steady and cold. I won't be hiring Rachel for any position. And don't call me again unless you're ready to apologize for how you've treated me all these years. I hung up and blocked her number, my hands shaking. Part of me wanted to cry, to mourn the mother I'd never really had. But another part, a stronger part, felt free. Just when I thought the dust had settled, all hell broke loose. My phone started blowing up with notifications. At first, I ignored them, thinking it was just the usual social media noise. But then I saw a message from Aunt Sarah. Charlotte, honey, you might want to check the family group chat. It's not pretty. With a sense of dread, I opened the app. What I saw made my stomach churn. Uncle Bob had posted, "Can't believe how stuck up Charlotte's gotten. Opens one little salon and thinks she's too good for family." Cousin Emma chimed in, "So selfish. Won't even help her own sister. Disgraceful." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Tears stung my eyes as I scrolled through message after message of hate and judgment. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I was done being the family punching bag. It was time to fight back. I called up a lawyer friend of mine, Jake, and asked him to meet me for coffee. He listened intently as I showed him the messages, his frown deepening with each swipe. "This is straight up harassment, Charlotte," he said, shaking his head. "We can definitely work with this." He explained my options, but one stood out: we could draft up a cease and desist letter. Threaten legal action if they don't stop. It might scare them enough to back off. Jake got to work right away. A few days later, I had a stack of official-looking letters in my hand, one for each family member who'd participated in the online assault. With a deep breath, I started sending them out. To each relative, I attached a personal note. "I've seen your posts. This is your one and only warning. Continue to harass me, and I'll see you in court. Choose wisely." The response was almost immediate. My phone started ringing off the hook. I let it go to voicemail, listening to the messages later with a mix of satisfaction and sadness. Uncle Bob sounded panicked. "Charlotte, sweetie, it was just a joke. No need to get lawyers involved." Cousin Emma was in tears. "Please don't sue us. We didn't mean anything by it." One by one, the offensive posts disappeared. The family chat went silent. It was like someone had flipped a switch. Aunt Sarah called me that evening. "Damn, girl," she chuckled. "You sure know how to clear a room." I laughed, but it was hollow. "I didn't want it to come to this, Aunt Sarah. But I couldn't let them keep treating me like that." After we hung up, I sat in my quiet apartment, staring at the wall. I'd always dreamed of having a big, loving family. Now, it felt like I'd burned the last bridge connecting me to that dream. But as I looked around at the life I'd built for myself, my thriving salon, my comfortable home, my true friends, I realized something. Family isn't always about blood. Sometimes, it's about the people who stand by you, who support you no matter what. I might have lost the family I was born into, but I'd gained something far more valuable: self-respect. My birthday. For once, I was actually looking forward to it. No family drama, just a nice evening with my friends and salon staff. People who actually cared about me. I was putting the finishing touches on my makeup when my phone rang. It was Jess, my head stylist. "Charlotte, you need to get down here. It's your sister. She's here, and God, Charlotte, it's bad. Just hurry." I broke every speed limit getting to the salon. The place looked like a war zone. Shattered mirrors, overturned styling chairs, hair products splattered everywhere. And in the middle of it all, being restrained by 2 cops, was Rachel. "You bastard," she screamed when she saw me. "This is all your fault." I ignored her, turning to Jess. "What the hell happened?" Jess looked shell-shocked. She just burst in, drunk off her ass. Started throwing things, screaming about how you ruined her life. We tried to stop her, but... I surveyed the damage, my heart sinking. This would cost thousands to fix. One of the officers approached me. "Ma'am, we're taking her down to the station. Will you be pressing charges?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. "Mom." Because of course it was. "Don't you dare press charges, Charlotte," she hissed without so much as a hello. "Tell them it was a birthday prank gone wrong." I couldn't help it. I laughed. A hollow, bitter laugh that made everyone around me take a step back. "A birthday prank? That's rich, Mom. You know, it's funny. You didn't remember my birthday until you needed an excuse for Rachel's behavior." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Look," I continued, my voice tight with anger, "your precious Rachel just destroyed my business. She's going to jail, and I'm going to make damn sure she pays for every cent of damage." I hung up and turned to the officer. "I want to press charges. All of them." I followed the police to the station, my mind reeling. This was supposed to be a happy day, a celebration. Instead, I was filing a police report against my own sister. As I sat in the cold, sterile interview room, giving my statement to a bored-looking detective, I couldn't help but think about how we'd gotten here. How had things gone so wrong? When I finally got home, hours later, I found my friends and staff waiting for me. They'd cleaned up the salon as best they could and brought the party to my place. As I looked around at these people, my chosen family, I felt a lump in my throat. "Thanks, guys," I managed to choke out. This means a lot." We raised our glasses in a toast. "To Charlotte," Jess said. "The toughest boss and best friend we could ask for." The court case dragged on for months. Every day was a new battle, a new low in family drama. But I stood my ground. Finally, the verdict came in. Rachel got a suspended sentence for hooliganism and had to pay me a hefty sum in compensation. I thought I'd feel victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. The day after the sentencing, I got a call from Steve. "You happy now?" he growled. "You've torn this family apart. As far as I'm concerned, you're dead to us." The line went dead. I stared at the phone, waiting for the pain to hit. But all I felt was relief. Mom didn't even bother to call. She sent a text, "I hope you're satisfied with what you've done. Don't contact us again." I showed the messages to Aunt Sarah over coffee the next day. She shook her head, disgusted. "You're better off without them, honey," she said, squeezing my hand. "You've got me. And you've got yourself. That's all you need." She was right. I threw myself into my work, channeling all my energy into expanding my business. One salon became 2, then 3. Before I knew it, I was running a small empire of beauty salons across the city. Years passed. I was happier than I'd ever been, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about me. My family became a distant memory, a bad dream I'd finally woken up from. Then, one lazy Sunday morning, I was scrolling through social media when a headline caught my eye. "Local construction mogul bankrupt, daughter's financial scams to blame." My heart skipped a beat. There was Rachel's face, being led away in handcuffs. The article detailed how she'd embezzled millions from Steve's company, running various financial scams that had finally caught up with her. The fallout was swift and merciless. Steve's company collapsed, taking down all the family members who worked there with it. And suddenly, my phone was blowing up with messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Uncle Bob, Charlotte, sweetie, I know we've had our differences, but I'm in a tough spot. Any chance of a job at one of your salons? Cousin Emma, hey cuz, long time no speak. So, I heard you're doing well. One by one, they came crawling out of the woodwork, all with the same plea: give me a job, lend me money, save me from the mess Rachel made. My finger hovered over the reply button. Then, with a deep breath, I hit block instead. One by one, I shut them out of my life for good. The only message I responded to was from Aunt Sarah. You okay, honey? I saw the news. I wrote back. I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. I'm free. That night, I stood on the balcony of my penthouse apartment, overlooking the city where my salons now thrived. I thought about the long, hard road that had brought me here. The pain, the struggles, the moments of doubt. But I also thought about the strength I'd found, the true friends I'd made, the success I'd built with my own two hands.